Let us now shift our focus to Afghanistan, where the Taliban rule has had a devastating impact on Afghan women. Since their takeover in August last year, the Taliban has restricted women's freedom and has failed to fulfill any commitments regarding girls' education and other women's rights. Women who hoped the Taliban would reform their extreme views have been let down by the new stringent restrictions imposed on them. Recently, around 30 Afghan women and girls marched in front of Kabul University after authorities expelled female students from dormitories for breaking rules. A report. Education is our red line. Silence is treason. Dressed in long black abaya with faces all masked up, a large group of women activists staged a massive protest in Afghanistan's capital, Kabul. Around 30 Afghan women marched in front of Kabul University after authorities expelled students from dormitories for violating rules. Protesters asserted that all of the evicted students were female, a move that coincides with the Taliban's increasing restrictions of girls' access to education. Organizers also demanded the reopening of girls' secondary schools, which had been closed since the Taliban retook power last year. Women across the country have staged sporadic protests in several cities against the extremist group's harsh restrictions.
The Afghan government's diktat to deny their women the right to education is absolutely absurd and shocking. It yet again reeks of the narrow mindset that the Taliban government has and the reasons giving for denying the women the basic right of education is irrational and illogical. It is high time that the Taliban government realizes that subduing the aims and aspirations of its women will not lead the nation anywhere and will cause more discord and discontentment in their nation.
Last August, Taliban overthrew Afghanistan's elected government, establishing a Stone Age regime with barbaric laws and reversing centuries of women's progress. They imposed a primitive government with harsh rules, erasing centuries of female progress. The hardliners denied millions of girls the right to education, fired tens of thousands of women from government jobs, and outlawed their businesses and various sorts of activism. Today, they have relegated Afghan women to the dark ages, and women in the country have even been denied the right to life. In March, the Taliban went back on their promise to allow girls to attend high schools, claiming they would remain closed until a plan was developed that would allow them to reopen in conformity with Islamic law. Afghan women have also been banned from traveling alone and can only visit public gardens and parks in the capital on days separate from men. Hebatullah Akhundzada, the country's supreme leader and Taliban chief, even ordered women to cover their faces in public, ideally with an all-encompassing burqa in May of this year.
The Taliban government, in the name of Islam, has snatched away the basic rights of their women, forcing them to live a life of indignity. While at the same time, their daughters are studying in the best universities abroad and enjoying a lavish lifestyle at state expense. It shows how hypocrite the Taliban government in Afghanistan is. The protest happening against their hypocrisy is a right step because no government the world over can suppress its citizens' freedom.
A century ago, the women in Afghanistan were free. They enjoyed the right to education, right to political participation, and the right to movement. Even in the 1970s, women made up more than 60% of students in Kabul's universities, and they were equally represented in several public institutions. Women's and girls' rights have deteriorated under Taliban rule, Furthermore, Afghanistan is in the grip of a severe humanitarian and economic disaster. Where there was once hope with women playing an important role in society, there is now starvation, destitution, and violence. It is difficult to comprehend how much has changed in such a short period of time for so many people.